I want to thank you for meeting with us. I got the YouTube channel that I do interviews that's JFK related, and then I think I have 2,500 followers on that.
Oh my goodness, my goodness.
I also share that within our group too. I've done some interviews with Bob Jackson. He took the picture, the Pulitzer Prize winning picture.
Oh,
Okay.
The Ruby.
Steve Barber too, as well. Steve Barber and some others. But Frank and I wanted to come back since our last visit. It was actually 6 weeks ago, wasn't it, Frank?
Yeah.
We wanted to make a special trip and visit with you.
Good.
So
good.
we appreciate you meeting with us too.
Now I'm not like Jim was. He was dead,
Yeah.
Oswald was the one.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about that too.
So,
But I wanted to ask you that morning, that Friday, November 22nd, how did you hear that President Kennedy was coming to town?
oh, it was in the paper, and we'd heard it on the news or something for days before. I mean, it wasn't nothing new. We just knew that we were going to see him.
Did you know he was going through Dealey Plaza?
Yeah. I think all that was put in the paper too,
Oh,
the
okay.
route and everything.
So you and Jean had plans to go down there and pick out a good spot.
Right.
Yeah.
Jean she wanted to go because she knew her friend was, going to be there, and
Riding the motorcycle.
I was going to go,
Yeah.
the motorcycle, and I was going to go to see Jackie. That was my idea because she was, really great.
Well, tell us how you know Jean, the lady in red.
Jean came to Texas from Oklahoma. She had been a teacher in Oklahoma, but I met her at a bowling alley. And I had started bowling because my husband, the father of my son, bowled, and I just decided, well, I'm going to bowl too, because he was gone a lot bowling, and I guess I was on a team or something and met Jean at the bowling alley, and then we bowled together for a long period of time.
So you knew her for a few years before November 22nd?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Would it happen to be the bowling alley?
She was still married to the father of her two children, and
Okay.
going through a lot of problems over the period of time that I knew her. And
Would it happen to have been the bowling alley that Mickey Mantle owned?
no,
the
it was
road?
Pleasant Grove,
Pleasant Grove.
southeast of
Oh,
Dallas,
okay.
downtown Dallas.
By the way, have you read her book?
I certainly have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
She-
think of it?
Well, like I told her, thanks for sending it. You and I have different ways of remembering what happened, and that was. I just said thank you, for sending the book to me. And
What? Well, what?
there were lots of differences, that what happened. She said happened that day, and
What can you give us an example?
well, she said when she ran across the street after the shooting, that somebody grabbed her and held her, and how she was scared, and but that couldn't have happened because I'm standing there with the picture still in my camera waiting on her to come back across the street to put the jail on the picture. I hadn't taken it out of the camera, and she was just less than, I'm sure, 5 minutes back with me, and never left me the rest of the whole day. Nobody that I know of ever grabbed her or, scared her or said anything bad to her.
So she did walk across the street
She ran across the street.
immediately
Because all the people were running.
everybody else
There were
started to do it?
hundreds of people running up, and there was a policeman. Well, it was a boy that I went to grade school and some part in high school with.
Mm-hmm.
He was on a motorcycle. I don't know where he was, but he's the one that went to the curb and laid his motorcycle down
Right.
and run up the hill.
Went up the hill. Right.
And that all happened too, right within minutes. And
What do you remember his name?
Clyde Haygood.
Haygood.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, good.
Right.
Excellent.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then Jean came back across to you.
Oh yeah,
Came back
immediately.
across to you.
I don't know. That Featherston came up to me and was talking to me, so I wasn't paying attention. Did I lose sight of her? Because I wasn't looking across the street. I wasn't going to go. There wasn't. I had no business over there, and he was talking to me, so she came immediately, and we put the gel on, and
Well, the gel would be the coating on the
The
picture, the
yeah,
Polaroid
uh-huh.
picture. By the way, what kind of camera did you have?
it was a Polaroid.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Uh-huh.
It was a black and white.
Where did you
And
buy
it
it
was-
at?
Huh?
Did you buy it right there in Dallas?
Oh, I have no idea
don't
where it
remember?
came from.
Yeah.
We had taken many pictures.
You bought it
before.
new? You bought the camera new?
I'm
You all?
sure my husband did.
He bought it new? Yeah. Okay.
We were not really into taking pictures,
Right.
family
Sure.
pictures, but way back
Yeah.
then. But
How many pictures did you take that day?
I think evidently there was one or two already in the camera, and then I had to walk down to the Sanger Harris and buy more film. And we walked back to the car, and I put the film in, which I wasn't even sure I had it right. And we took a picture of. She took my picture, and I took hers at the car.
Okay.
And then we walked on down to find our spot where we were going to stand.
Uh-huh.
And then I took a picture of Glenn McBride, who I had gone to school with and was a dear friend of our family. And
Can you tell us who he is?
he was the motorcycle policeman
Okay, so he was in the
on his
motorcade.
way to the luncheon anyway, wherever
yeah.
they were
He was
gonna hold.
leading
He was going
in the
out.
front, yeah.
And behind him was, I can't even think of his name, the motorcycle policeman who directed traffic at our church,
Mhm.
at every church service that we had.
So were those guys the sort of the front group of motorcyclists,
Way
or the
before.
ones beside
No,
limo?
they were
the group before?
they were probably 10 minutes or more
Oh,
ahead
before.
of the limo.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
yeah, it was-
Right.
So when did you realize you have the picture that you had?
When Featherston came up to me and asked, did I take a picture, or somebody told him I had taken a picture, and I said, yes, it's still in the camera.
It didn't eject? They don't eject out?
No, you
that-
have to pull them out.
Oh, okay. So
I had no idea
I'm thinking
what I had.
70s or 80s.
And when you pull it, that puts the gel on it, right?
No,
No?
there was a little tube with gel
Uh-huh.
that's extra that you have to put on each picture.
So
As it
you had to
comes
do
out.
that manually? You had to
Yes.
pull the picture out, and then you put the gel on it.
Well, that's why I was waiting on
For her.
Jean, because she
Oh.
had the gel in her pocket.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us about you setting up for taking the picture. So you saw the limousine and the motorcycle officers start to approach.
Well, we heard the crowd on the before they ever turned on the Houston,
Okay.
and as the crowd got louder and we knew that the limo was getting closer to our area.
Did you see the limo turn from
No.
Maine onto Houston?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Where did you first see the limo?
Well, as
Coming
it got
down now?
closer,
Yeah.
as it got closer to me.
To you, okay.
And then I put the camera up because I wanted a good picture.
Right.
And that's when Gene, as it got closer, Gene hollered, "Look this way, Mr. President, we want to take your picture." And that I still had the camera up waiting, and then I just clicked it when it got right there at me.
Okay.
And that's the sound of the first noise,
So the sound of the first noise to you was when you clicked your picture?
Yes,
Okay.
I had the camera up.
Okay.
And then I had put the camera down to watch because it was right there at me. And that's when the other two sounds then,
Okay.
which I thought were firecrackers,
Right.
But when people start dropping, you sense something is not right. And of course, I know that there was something wrong because I saw the president's head. He moved that kind of a fog or something, and I thought, oh, his hair jumped. Well, that wasn't his hair. That was when I guess it hit his head.
What was
And
your?
then I watched her, start to climb over, and my thought was, I'd be getting out too, I thought she was scared, and then that Clint Hill pushed her back down, and all this is just within seconds. It happened so quickly.
So fast.
What was your reaction? Did you run, drop?
No, I told Gene, when I heard those sounds, and I said, we need to get down. People were dropping down to the ground. And we did kind of squat down, and then it was over with. And then people started running in all directions. It was,
Which directions did the shots come from?
oh Lord, I have no idea.
Yeah, no
idea.
You didn't?
It was
Did you
just-
have any impression that they came
I had
close?
no
Were they close to you?
idea that they were shots,
Mhm.
other than I knew something had happened to what was in the car.
How
Did
many
you-
did you hear?
3,
You definitely heard 3 shots.
yes.
Were they spaced out equally? Or?
There was the when I had the camera up, it's pow, and then I put the camera down and pow pow.
Okay.
That was just a fraction of time that between the first one and the next two.
No opinion on which.
No opinion, no.
Okay.
Did you have a sense at all that these noises were close to you?
No.
Or did it seem farther away?
No, it just was
No.
noise.
Noise,
which
okay.
I thought were at first was firecrackers.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
I want to ask you, your picture gets lots of attention throughout the years. And there's some conspiracy believers that use your picture to try to prove a conspiracy that I'm sure you've heard about Badge Man
Yes.
and all that. What do you think of that?
Well, I at first I thought it's just leaves, shadows from the trees and whatnot. But the more that they work on it and kind of bring out a person standing there, it could be. I have no idea.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
Well, your picture ended up in the hands of law enforcement, and please notice I said hands because there's a fingerprint
Yes.
on your picture that wasn't there before.
And you can be assured that the government knows who that fingerprint belongs to because they were the only ones that's, holding it within the few days that they were using it.
Well, how did they get it? You loaned it to Featherston.
No,
No? What?
no, we went to the reporter's office.
Okay.
And all these guys everywhere there were many dozens of telephones in this little office, and he said, I still had the picture, and he said, there's no negative. I need to see if a negative could be made. Well, that made sense to me. It was a Polaroid. There'll never be another. And he took it, and then within a short time, it was gone. But he said it'd be right back, and then Sheriff Decker came and wanted to see the picture. And I said, he's done something with it. And he told him, he said, have it here now. And it appeared right.
So you at some point went up to the sheriff's department.
Well, that's where the reporter's office is.
Right.
Just down the hall.
And
They're
they
all together.
took some sort of a statement from you.
Not then.
Not then.
No, I don't know how long we were there.
But later that day.
Oh,
At
yes,
some-
a deposition.
Couple of
we
times
had to give
that
a
day.
deposition.
Right.
Who
Yeah.
was it that walked away with it, you know?
There was a young, I'm sure a runner from the paper, you
Okay.
know. I have no idea.
Okay.
I wasn't going to stand there, and
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on.
Do you
It
still
was
have
just-
the picture today?
No,
Oh.
no, I sold that. I'm not even sure of the date now,
Okay.
but I put it in an auction.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Started with,
Uh-huh.
well, the big auction there in New York was
Mhm.
going to handle it.
Sotheby's or
So,
Sotheby's or
Sotheby's.
Yeah.
Sotheby's
Uh-huh.
was going to handle it. And
Or-
until that day, the lady was going to go to the New York Times and say, you know, that it was going to be auctioned. And she called me then and said the Kennedy family had contacted the Sotheby's, and it was too sensitive, and they didn't want it sold. And she's the one that told me then that she had at one time worked for Cowan Auction, and that they might be interested. So,
Mhm.
and they were interested.
Okay.
Probably I always felt like that they were interested enough to not pay me what it was really worth.
I see.
So ultimately, who sold it?
Me, I sold the picture.
But he's asking which
What-
auction house.
Was it
Oh,
through
Cowan.
an auction?
Cowan,
Cowan.
Auction.
Cowan.
Do you regret selling it?
Yeah, well, I regret being misused.
Okay. How were you misused?
I just really feel like that he knew more concerning the picture than I ever had dreamed of, you know, that it could
The
have been
value?
worth.
The
The-
value.
The
primarily,
value was
Okay,
very understated as far
I
as he
see.
was concerned.
I see. Okay.
Did they,
And
Mary
he
Ann, did
wasn't
they,
very friendly to me all the time that he was handling the auction.
did they actually auction it or did they find a buyer?
I don't have any idea.
Okay.
But he would never tell me who purchased the picture.
Okay.
I have no idea.
And as best you recall, when was it? Was this in the 2000s or in 1999 or early 2000s or like 20 years ago?
At
15?
least.
Do you still have your camera?
Oh no.
No?
When I met Gary, like 30-some years ago, he became involved.
What's Gary's
the-
last name?
Gary Kramer,
Okay.
and That's in 1980 is when Gary Mack
Okay.
contacted me. I had not thought about the picture from the time that all this took place. I never gave the picture a thought. It's a wonder I still had it.
You had it stored away somewhere.
I had it in all my belongings. You know, I divorced Donald, and 6 or 7 years passed, and then I met Gary, and then that was probably 2 years before 1980 when Gary Mack contacted me, and I found the picture because he said that he and Jack White were working on a copy of it, and we got in with we started traveling to Fort Worth to visit with him and Jack White. And Gary became very enthused. You know, he really got the JFK situation, and he went to all the meetings that they were having, monthly meetings of the groups. And he took the camera and evidently forgot to bring it home.
He asked you for your camera.
Well, he was going to a meeting, and he was going to take the camera to show at some meeting, and evidently, in all of his enthusiasm and whatnot, he didn't come home with an overcoat and the camera.
The overcoat was Gary's?
The overcoat belonged to Gary, and he had the camera in a briefcase, a real nice briefcase.
Well, would you go down there again ever? Would you do it all over again? Is what I'm asking. Would you and Jean go down?
Oh, definitely.
You do it again?
Oh, definitely. You don't get to see a president of the United States in your lifetime
Right.
that close.
Uh-huh.
And Dallas was really laid back, you know, no fear of going anywhere or doing anything in downtown Dallas. And
Do people recognize you in public throughout the years?
pretty much now.
They do?
If I go,
Your
I went
name and
2 years ago was the last time that I have been down, and yeah, people
okay.
at that meeting that they had.
So, Marianne, let me ask you about the limousine at the time all this was going on. Did you have a sense that the limousine was moving at a steady pace?
Very slow.
Very slow. Very slow.
Almost, to a stop. But I know people have said that the car stopped. As far as I know, I never saw it stop. It was just rolling at such a slow speed. It would appear to be at a stop, but
Okay.
it just kept rolling. It just.
And do you recall that the follow-up car with the Secret Service men behind it, do you recall that being behind the limo? And
No.
Seeing Clint Hill run?
I saw Clint Hill jump on the car and push her back down.
Okay.
And after that, everything went haywire.
Right.
It was just chaotic. People
Okay.
going in all directions. And I know that there were still a lot of vehicles that passed by.
Mm-hmm.
But
Sure.
I wasn't. I was talking to Mr. Featherston. So I wasn't aware of other vehicles coming or going.
Were you ever aware during these moments of seeing any smoke or smelling anything unusual?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
When everybody ran up to Grassy Knoll, did you kind of think maybe the shots came that way?
No.
No?
Never thought that's why anybody was running up there.
How's it impacted your life? Do you think about it every day?
No,
No.
no. For up until 1980, I just lived my life. I had a son to raise and went through a divorce, and a lot of time passed, and then I met my Gary, and we moved to the ranch in North Texas, and then that was a busy time for us. From I was married to him 37 years before he passed away, so
Yeah, everyday life had to go on.
it certainly did,
Yeah.
and it does right now.
Yeah.
That my last 5 years has just been something new every day.
So you've got a lot of the books, I see.
Well, whoever sent me the books,
Have you read any of them?
no,
No?
no. I read Jean's
Yes.
because she had come back to Dallas and had sent me that book but I know she wanted an answer, and in order to answer her, I needed to read it. And I was interested to see, because I know that we stayed in touch quite a bit. Some of the years that she was traveling and going and doing, but like I said, she remembered her memory was a lot different from things that I knew for a fact didn't happen. And she called me many times, when she was going to those talk shows. Oh, you need to do this. You need absolutely not. I have no
interest.
I don't want to have no part of any of that. And I didn't.
And so, no other book have you read concerning the assassination? No? You've got some good books here.
I know.
What's your opinion on what happened that day?
My opinion is there's more to it than I'll ever know. It won't. Nothing will come out in my lifetime, that's for sure. And I don't believe. I really think the government had a hand in it some way. No telling how, but it'll never come out. The real truth of it. So.
Well, did you become friendly with other people that was connected to assassination other than Jean?
Oh, I met, because I went to several of the yearly get-togethers. Well, two, I think.
Well, I know you're part of our
But-
Jim Lavelle group. Did you know him?
Well, Jim and I were very close friends.
Because
but
he's a staunch believer that Oswald did it and acted.
we never talked about it.
You didn't?
No.
You didn't ever talk
Oh,
about
no,
it?
no, no. No, I knew immediately his feeling, and you would never want to cross him with his, the way he felt. So we just enjoyed each other's company for several years, many years.
Do you feel Jim was a good police officer?
Oh, I think so. I really do.
Top-notch guy.
Very muchly so.
Very honest.
To me, yes.
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 Were you?
We talked nearly every day
Really?
for couple of years. He would call and we had lunch together a lot.
Quite often.
and I missed him.
Yeah.
I didn't really realize how much, when you get used to having a phone call every day, you just say hi.
Yeah.
You miss it.
Were you called before the Warren Commission, or did you have to go to the post office to testify or anything?
No, no
Okay.
policeman ever. Other than I did get subpoenaed to New Orleans,
Oh. Oh.
and that was, I think, 3 days I was in New Orleans at their expense, and
Uh-huh.
it all about 5 minutes at the courthouse. They had my picture, which was the original, which I had at that time. They had it on a bulletin board, and somebody says, "Did you take this picture?" And I said, "Yes." That's the only time I was ever in that courthouse. It's the only question they ever asked me, and I enjoyed. This was in February, so I enjoyed seeing the Mardi Gras, which I'd never
Uh-huh.
been a part of, and
You never saw Jim Garrison during that visit?
I don't know who was the judge. Somebody was sitting, maybe it was Garrison. I don't
Well,
know. I don't know.
Okay.
What do you think of the results of that trial?
I wish that he had been able to have probably delved into it deeper. I think he had lots of questions and never got to find out anything.
Jim Garrison.
But,
Yeah.
and I think my Gary made a trip to New Orleans to talk to him, which I was not interested, and I asked no questions other than he wanted to. He really believed in Jim Garrison
Mhm.
and what he was going to do.
Mhm.
So your Gary made a trip down there before the trial?
No, much after.
Much
No,
after.
I didn't even know my Gary that I married at that point.
Okay.
Oh goodness, no. I was subpoenaed to that while I was still married to my husband's, the father of my husband, my
right.
son,
Right.
Donald Moorman.
So this investigation was going on between 66 and 69. The trial actually took place in 69.
I don't even know the date
Yeah.
now at this point, but I don't look back to any of those files. Don't even want to mess up my mind
Right.
thinking about it
Right.
all.
Right.
I know that several people have mentioned having a book, for me to write a book about my life, but that's not a big thing in my life, so
Right.
I'm not going to mess up wondering all these dates and when this happened, or no, I just...
Sure. So, Marianne, let me ask you about the Warren Commission. So, Jean testified. Now, didn't they ask you to come?
I didn't want
Something
to
of
come.
that?
Yeah, I wanted no part of any of
Right.
that. If they didn't subpoena me and make me go, no, I didn't want no part of any of that.
But at some point, didn't they contact you and
They-
ask
they
you
s-
to come?
Yes.
And
they
tell us the
subpoenaed-
story about what happened with you
Well,
not going.
I jumped off the porch and turned my ankle, and I just said, "Oh no, I've hurt myself." So
And they excused you.
they never called me again.
Okay.
No,
Okay. Was it true you did hurt your ankle?
I really
off the
did,
porch?
but it didn't didn't
it worked
hinder
out-
me.
And it just
to
worked out
going.
fine for you because you didn't want to go anyway.
It was an excuse
Right.
that I didn't want to go, and
I'm sorry.
Blakely, whatever his deal was, he subpoenaed my picture, but not me.
I'm surprised she didn't go down to Hervey Street and testify in town.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was the Warren Commission, and then Blakey was with the House Select Committee in the 70s.
And all he did was subpoena my picture.
Oh, they did not subpoena you
No.
or ask you
No,
to come.
didn't
Oh,
ask
okay.
me no questions.
Oh, okay,
No.
okay. And they subpoenaed your picture, and you turned it over to them.
Well, I had to.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to. I
They
had
sent
to do
somebody
that.
to your place to get
No,
it.
it took place through the mail some way. I
Oh.
don't remember,
Okay.
but it, at no cost to me,
Right.
they got it. And then my cost was they were going to return my picture. It was going to go into the archives. I think Gary Mack told me that. Get your picture because it'll go into the National Archives and you'll never see it again. And then I had to hire a lawyer at my expense to get the picture back.
Okay.
And then, I don't know, a number of years ago, probably close to 10 years ago, he came to Dallas, he and his two daughters, Blakey. And I met him at Diggy Plaza, and I said, "You're the man that caused me money because I had to sue to get my picture back that you had." He said, "Oh, if I'd have known you then, I would have gotten it back to you. It wouldn't have been at no cost." But anyway,
How about paying me back?
y'all, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, let the government write a check. Well, as far as I'm concerned, your contribution to history is significant and recognized.
Well, I know that I heard 3 shots. I know I was there. I took a picture,
Mhm.
and that's, that's all I know. I
Right.
don't know where the shots came from. I don't know. I didn't know they were even shots when I heard them, and
Let me ask you this, did you have nightmares?
never,
No dreams?
no, never. Never was scared, not one day in my life. My house in Dallas was, the whole back of the house was all glass. And in the wooded area, and Mother would say, "You don't know who's looking in your windows and all." She was scared for me, but I was never afraid.
Did your mama have any sort of opinion as to the assassination?
No, not that she ever explained to me that.
Right. Right.
Other than she was always afraid that, when she heard about different ones dying and they're saying that was associated with the assassination, she would think about that, but I never did.
Okay.
So you didn't believe any of that was
No.
true?
No. It's just happenstance. You don't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has been very nice.
Yes. Is there anything else you want to tell us?
Oh, I think you've.
We've covered it pretty well.
Yeah,
haven't we?
that's.
Yeah, we thank you.
The main thing is I would hate for the assassination to be lost in history, and I'm afraid it's going to, because kids are, growing up, and the ones that are not old enough to even know who he was, that JFK was a president, they they lose interest. And I don't want it to be lost to history.
Well, there's still a lot of interest.
But not in the history books that they're teaching in
Oh,
school.
true.
That's what is so sad.
True.
Your name's probably in some history books.
Could be.
Yeah, U.S. history.
That I was in God's plan that I go and be there, because I had also told my son, who was 11 at the time and in school, I'll go down and take a picture of the president for you. And that was one thing, because I wanted him to be in school, but I had no idea I'd take a picture that would be meaningful, to him. But where we walked across the grass to the area where we stood, and I just felt like when we got to that spot where I was standing, that felt good. It was, we could see the car coming down and whatnot. I think the Lord has a plan. I knew, it felt good to stand there, and I clicked the camera at the very instant he was shot. That wasn't anything that I had planned. No, nothing, that day was all in God's plan.
Mm-hmm.
You're
So-
a faithful servant.
Well, no, I just, but I'm
Just-
so thankful that my mom raised me and my brother, knowing that there is a God and there is a plan. My life in the country was just farming and ranching and taking care of cattle, and never, just my life went on.
Yeah.
And I never gave all this assassination bit a second thought.